Welcome, everyone, to Connected Data Unchained. Today, we have a special episode where we have the pleasure of talking to Yushu, one of the founders of TigerGraph. Welcome, Yushu. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Hamid, for having me. My name is Yushu. My background is in database and distributed system. I co-founded TigerGraph about more than 10 years ago.
Awesome. And that's the topic of today, which is TigerGraph origins. Can you tell me about how this whole idea of TigerGraph came about?
Sure. I was working at Twitter more than 10 years ago. At that time, Twitter was talking about building the largest interest graph to power, for example, who you should follow and many type of graph algorithms. Facebook was building the largest social graph, and Google was building the largest knowledge graph. And they all build internal graph processing systems, but they're not databases. For example, they don't do transactions, they don't support query languages. They were dedicated for their own internal graph use cases. And you cannot use them outside of those companies, right? But I believe that technology can benefit many other industries and companies, not just those needing internet companies. This is based on my past experience working at the Teradata. Before I joined Twitter, I worked for Teradata for many years. Teradata pioneered the distributed way of doing relational databases. They have a massive parallel processing system, right, for many, many years. And Teradata was used by thousands of many the largest companies in the world, generated more than $1 billion revenue in the world. At that time, I was working closely with many largest customers in the world, and many of the workload took hours or days to finish. After looking deeper, I found those are, bigger queries joining many tables. And I saw that at that time, they could be modeled naturally as a graph problem. If we had a really fast performance distributed graph database, we would easily improve the query performance, for example, by 100 times or even 1,000 times. So yeah, I look at the graph database market. There's already some general purpose graph database at that time, but they're what I call the first generation graph databases. They run on only on single machines. They don't do distributed systems. If you have more data than a single machine can handle, you are out of luck, right? So at that time, Google just published a paper talking about how they can do distributed graph algorithms like PageRank. So it worked even at the Google scale, right? So I was super inspired by the Google paper because for the first time, I think, we can build a distributed graph database that works for, huge amount of data. And you can, also do traditional database transactions and many other database nice features. So my background is database. So I was super excited also because the relational database has been the king for the last 40 years, right? But mathematically speaking, graph model is more powerful than relational database model. Everything you can do, everything you can express in relational database using SQL, you can do it inside the graph database. But the other direction is not true. For example, if you think about PageRank, community detection, right, customer clustering, this all kind of, related to machine learning in some way, you cannot write them in SQL, or it's super difficult to write in SQL, or impossible, right? Performance-wise, forget about the performance in using relational database at all. But you can do so quickly, easily, efficiently using graph database, right? So at that time, I asked myself, what if I combine what I learned about relational database, distributed processing, combine them with the new way of Google, processing, right? So then we could create a new type of graph database that can be used by every industry, every company, not just, internet companies, right? I was super excited about this startup idea and the future of graph database. And I really had the burning desire to, build the graph database, the best graph database. And I could not wait any longer. So I quit the Twitter and foregoing all of my Twitter stocks pre-IPO, and I started TigerGraph in my garage in South San Francisco with a couple of friends. That's how TigerGraph was born.
Wow, that's a really amazing story. You know what's interesting? Around the same time you were thinking about this, it just so happened I also started thinking about a startup even though it's like graph-like, but it was sitting on top of a relational engine. I wish we connected back then. We would have built something amazing together, but that's really awesome origin story. So now, actually related to that, I'm also a big fan of graph algorithms and graph theory, and I definitely see the power of it. I do know that you were in stealth mode for a few years. So when you were in that stealth mode, can you give me some of your, like an idea of some of your biggest challenges? It's really hard to be in stealth mode for so many years. What were some biggest challenges?
Yeah, you're right. We essentially stayed in stealth mode for about 6 years. It's
Wow.
really unheard of, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, right? When startups pre-announce the product, do a lot of, marketing before, they really have a great product or a lot of customers. So, but the database is different. So you're right, there's so many challenges in early days of TigerGraph. So I think the number one challenge was building a product. Like I mentioned before TigerGraph, nobody built a distributed graph database, right? So a lot of people thought it's impossible. Everybody know building a distributed database is super difficult, right? So, and building a distributed graph database is even more challenge because a graph database is supposedly to connect random data points and provide you with more insights, right? Now you want to distribute the graph data and the processing across machines, it's just going to be more challenging, right? So nobody did this before, and even architecturally, I had the solution like I mentioned. I wanted to combine Google's way of distributed processing of graph data, with the traditional relational way of doing transactions, right? But engineering, we had to innovate, we had to do many things differently. So it was a super challenge, and but it was also very rewarding and exciting at the same time. We did the database from scratch basically, and from the ground up. We use the C++. It's not easy to hire people to use C++. We have to do a lot of internal training, and we use many type of compression algorithms. We have a lot of innovation and do smart design and implementation. We would just worked really hard in the first 6 years, and like I said, kept our heads down, and we internally were really proud of what we were building and the future for graph database. That's what kept us going for the first 6 years, and we really focused on the craftsmanship, right? So
that's awesome.
Finally, we were fortunate enough, we were successful, and then we released our first product publicly about 6 years later after the company was founded.
That's amazing. 6 years in stealth mode. It must have taken a lot of drive and a lot of belief in the product and what you're building. And I definitely see how complex and how challenging this problem is. So I can certainly see the attraction to hardcore engineers in terms of wanting to deliver this. Now, so you pass through the stealth mode, and then you've come a long way. If I was to compare back when you came out of stealth mode versus now, you're super successful. You have a lot of customers that like Fortune 500 customers that have adopted TigerGraph as part of their mainstream or mission critical workload, which is amazing. But what I'm really interested in is to hear about maybe a story about an early customer, an early adopter, and something that maybe was very memorable for you as you worked with that early customer. Can you share a story with us?
Yeah, as a database company, customers, of course, are super important to us, right? They help you grow, they guide your, product development, they give you, the support, right? And, everything. So I just felt really fortunate to work with so many wonderful customers in our early days, and there's so many exciting stories. So I think probably one of the most memorable customer was a huge customer in Europe. They were visionary in using graph analytics already. They already tried everything out there before they heard about the TigerGraph. They already got a huge amount of business benefit already from using graph databases at that time. They heard about the TigerGraph just shortly after we got out of sales mode, made our product available, right? So the technical team downloaded our product, did the benchmark, did the internal pilot. Then they emailed us. They said they want to buy our enterprise edition. They also provided 2 non-lists. The first non-list is about the things they don't like about the TigerGraph, right? Or the limitations the product had. But they said nothing is blocking the use of a TigerGraph product. The second non-list is what they really liked about the TigerGraph, right? Essentially, they said, you guys, a product did the sense you advertised. They were pretty happy with our scalability and performance. Because at the other time, why they, trying TigerGraph when they already have a big, return of the investment on the graph database, right? So because they could do many things they wanted to do. For example, they could not load and use all of the data. They could not get a real-time performance quick enough. Right?
Yeah.
So they want to buy our product, but they also told us because of their, highly confidential nature of the business and the use cases, they cannot share anything how they're going to use our product. And of course, they're not going to give us any access to the machines, to the data, right? So it's not going to be your ideal customer for database startup because what if there's a bug, it's going to be so nightmare for them and the TigerGraph team to collaborate across the ocean, across time zone, and to solve the problem, right? And early customer success or failure means a lot to a startup's reputation, right? So we really, and we had nobody in Europe, at that time, right? So we were just tiny company in Redwood City in California, right? So initially we really hesitated. We didn't want to do the business with this company, but they said they're completely fine without anybody in Europe, without any special engineering support. Other than if we had a bug, we have to fix it, right? So, and internally we discussed, our engineering teams felt really confident about our product and also felt really confident how they use our product, right? Because what's really amazing about this customer that I found in two long list of their feedback, I found that they actually dug so deep into a TigerGraph product, they even give further feedback to some of APIs and the product features, which we didn't document at all publicly, right? So, because we were new, the product is still evolving and changing, we didn't have a lot of commitment to many product features. So we didn't just document, right? But we made the product available, but they found out one way or another. So the whole team was super excited, about the technical capability and the dedication and the visionary, about the graph. So finally, we decided to do business with this bigger customer in Europe, and of course, we signed the deal, and later they actually expanded, add more machines, put more data, and they even signed a multiple-year deal to lock in the price protection, right? So at that time, we were young. No customer testimony, no customer reputation, no much market awareness, right? So all of our non-engineer teams had great confidence in TigerGraph because they joined TigerGraph, they trusted the engineer team, but the vote of confidence from this well-regarded, huge customer really meant a lot to everyone at the TigerGraph. So I thought that was a really fun memory, quite a fun memory.
That's really amazing story. It must have taken a lot of basically belief in the technology and the innovation that the team has built for such a large customer to adopt an unknown startup. So kudos to you and the team for being able to pull it off. And I know since then it's all history now, and TigerGraph is wildly successful, which is really great to hear.
Yeah. So there's so many similar exciting customer stories. That's the fun of building something new. You provide a bigger value to a customer, you grow with the customer, right? That's really big, passion, about startups, right? You have a customer, you get a tremendous satisfaction of doing something differently, right? People, that's why they need you help them.
That's great. That's awesome to hear. So as a last question that I have for you, I know TigerGraph has come a long way since your first customer, since you came out of stealth mode. If you were to think about 2024 and beyond, what's next? Where do you see TigerGraph going? Like, what are some of the key challenges or aspirational things you'd like to accomplish?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, one of the big reasons I started TigerGraph is that I believe graph is going to be the future. Graph is more powerful than relational database. Graph database should be the default, choice for developers, new applications, to choose, right? So I think that's still true, but now I have even more reason to think that the vision is going to become true and even faster, right? Because now if you look at the machine learning and the AI, of course, we all have seen the tremendous momentum of generative AI, right? So, and according to Gartner, 100% of companies will use machine learning AI in the next 3 years. 80% of them will use graph. And with generative AI, they come also with some issues and challenges. For example, for the solution, right? So I do believe that combining the powerful graph, especially knowledge graph, and the powerful generative AI, that's going to give the confidence the companies needed to provide accurate answers to the customers, to the internal, teams, right? So I already see big customers using TigerGraph together with the large language models, right? For example, some of them are using large language model to extract data, put more data, and put more high quality data to knowledge graph. And also they use knowledge graph to help large language models to provide much better quality answers, right? It's just like a positive loop. So I think combining knowledge graph, especially powered by a scalable graph database like a TigerGraph, and the powerful large language model is going to be really a game changer for both graph market and the AI market. So I think the TigerGraph is going to play a huge role in this space, and this is going to, of course, help accelerate the growth of TigerGraph.
Absolutely spot on. I definitely believe that the explosive attention and possible use cases, generative AI, as well as tooling that helps everyone become more productive, whether you're a developer, a data scientist, or a business user, TigerGraph is well poised to basically be the leader there, given the scale and the ability to handle such massive amounts of data in a knowledge graph. And it's basically made perfect for this kind of use case. So really agree with you that this is going to be a big, basically a game changer for TigerGraph moving forward. Well, anyways, Yushu, this was a pleasure. Thank you for being with us today. It was certainly a very exciting and interesting discussion, and look forward to seeing TigerGraph achieve even greater success in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. Okay, bye.
Bye.